Moving on now, gas and fuel prices are soaring across the globe as the supply chain is disrupted due to the ongoing Ukraine-Russia war. And although Western allies have imposed a series of sanctions on the Kremlin, Europe has still not shut off the pipelines carrying Russian gas. European Union's Foreign Affairs Chief confirmed that 27 countries in the bloc are paying Russia over $1 billion per day in energy product payments, adding that some member states are so dependent on Russian supplies that they are refusing to budge and that restrictions on the supply cannot be imposed overnight.
Ejercerá sin duda su liderazgo proponiendo las acciones necesarias para ello. Hoy acabamos con el carbón, pero es una parte muy pequeña de la factura. Nuestra independencia, nuestra autonomía energética pasa por el desarrollo de las energías renovables y, por una vez, la geopolítica y el cambio climático se dan la mano en un objetivo común.
Now, Borrell was speaking at a meeting that called for additional sanctions against Moscow. The European Commission proposed a ban on coal imports from Russia. If approved by Europe, the ban on Russian coal will be the first sanction on any energy import from Russia adopted by the bloc since the beginning of the war. Remember, Europe gets about 40% of its natural gas from Russia as well as 25% of its crude supplies. The Commission had proposed such a ban in January this year, weeks before the war in Ukraine began. But that move was blocked by Germany. This is in direct contradiction to pressures that the Western allies have applied on India, where United States even called India quote-unquote shaky for not picking a side in this war. The West warned India against supporting Russia, claiming that India buying oil at subsidized rates from Russia was undermining its sanctions against the Kremlin. West has time and again asked India to ban imports, Russian imports, and condemn its war against Ukraine. Dalip Singh, who is America's Deputy National Security Advisor and the architect of American sanctions against Russia, during his visit to India warned against the imports. He said, and I'm quoting here, "What we would not like to see is a rapid acceleration of India's imports from Russia as it relates to energy or any other exports that are currently being prohibited by the United States or by other aspects of international sanctions regime. India has refused to bow down to such foreign pressures and threats, walking a fine line of diplomacy. While European Union pays lip service to Ukrainian cause, it has continued to buy fuel from Russia." Indian Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar also talked about this hypocrisy on the 31st of March. He said it looks like a campaign against India.
We've seen for some time what looks almost like a campaign on this issue. Now, I was just reading a report today that in the month of March, Europe has bought, I think, 15% more oil and gas from Russia. We ourselves get the bulk of our energy supplies from the Middle East, about 7.5%, 8% of our oil from the US. In the past, maybe less than 1% from Russia. When oil prices go up, I think it's natural for countries to go out into the market and look for what are good deals for their people.
Indian foreign policy, which has been lauded by neutral states, has maintained that the two sides should resolve the conflict through dialogue. The recent revelation by Borrell and the European Union exposes the duplicity of the West, which needs to cut imports from Russia before asking other countries to do the same. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.